With great sense of delight, I welcome you to this morning on ITV, the very first day in the month of August. I want to say happy new month to our viewers, and we also want to say that we sincerely apologize for bringing you the broadcast of today's edition of TMI Behind Shadow. It was occasioned by a technical hitch, and thanks for your able cooperation. My name is Philip Omo-Gyupo. I want to quickly hit the ground running on what we have today in order to look at how we can bring respite in the direction of the viewers and, of course, Nigerians as regards how to make Nigeria work. We are also were able to take some extracts from the president's broadcast yesterday over the challenges facing the nation and issues concerning the petrol subsidy removal and how it is really heating up the polity. When you see 2 or 3 Nigerians, together discussing, they are discussing issues about the petrol subsidy removal. And there is need to look into that. A lot was said by the president. Promises were made, as in respect of making the country, putting the country in a better pedestal. He spoke about the manufacturing sector, where huge amounts of money will also be channeled to that. Also spoke about bringing about 3,000 units of buses to cushion the effect of the transport challenges facing Nigerians as a result of the petrol subsidy removal. Of course, also delve into agricultural sector and the MSMEs, a lot indeed also said in the direction of, bringing about the executive orders that came up with this administration. All of this would be what we will discuss, and also look at the issues about Edo 2024 gubernatorial race. You agree with me that the stage is set. Things are already getting ready to kickstart, activities in this direction, and how to set this in the right pedestal is also the crux of today's discussion. Discussing these vital topics with me, starting from my extreme left, I have a one-time first Labour Party gubernatorial candidate in 2012 for Edo State, and of course also a one-time gubernatorial candidate of the ACD in Edo 2016. He is a public affairs analyst, a business expert. Andrew Igwemo. Thanks for coming, Andrew.
Good morning, Joan. A very long time, Philip.
Yeah, thanks for coming. And next to him is a political economist, an erudite activist, and he is also a social media influencer, Ibrahim Momo. Thanks for coming, Ibrahim.
Thanks for having me. Good morning, very distinguished viewers.
I also have an erudite politician and one-time gubernatorial aspirant in Edo race, and of course also a senatorial candidate, one-time senatorial candidate in the just previous election for 2023, and he is Honorable Fred Uyigwe. Thanks for coming, Fred.
Thank you very much for having me, and good morning to you viewers at home.
All right, let me quickly start with you, Andrew Igwemo. We have a lot, that we shared in the course of the president's broadcast yesterday, issues that panned out as a result of the petrol subsidy removal. And a lot of persons were saying that instead of giving an inaugural speech on May 29, he made an inaugural policy statement by removing petrol subsidy. Now, a lot of issues have been popping up. We have different protests, the NLC, demanding for an increase in the minimum wage, or even the removal of the petrol, of the policy, that brought Nigerians into these challenges. But the president has said that these are tough times, but we'll be exiting darkness into the light. And that the reason why he is still up working at night is just because he wants to put smiles on the faces of Nigerians. What do you make of that presidential broadcast? Do you see that as a boost, on the hope of Nigerians that there will be a better day?
Yeah, thank you very much, Philip. Yes, I think it has come to a time when Nigeria can say, yes, we now have a president. The first thing to do is policy statement. Without policy, you can't talk of implementation. And that is why when on the first day he said, today, no more subsidy. That is a policy statement. it is on the basis of that policy statement that you can be thinking of how to implement that statement, which is already going. The yesterday address was a down-to-earth, and I'm not sure the annals of Nigerian history we have had a president who actually understood the feelings of the masses. Go through that address, you will touch your heart for this gentleman, and Nigerians have not made any mistake for voting President Tinubu. These are credible people. And he appears to have known the pains of Nigerians. Not only know the pains, he knows virtually, I'm sure he has put up a very sound financial team. And they have actually given him the way. There's no alternative. What he has said yesterday, the address is down to earth, as I said. If it is fully implemented, I'm sure Nigeria will even ask for him to even remain president forever. Thank you.
Well,
let me stop
a lot you said, yes. But good to know that these are promises.
Yes.
We've seen past presidents coming with promises, you know, humongous projects that they tend to earmark and, of course, achieve. But it left Nigerians still hoping and even thinking of how to tackle the issue of breathing to sustain economic growth. But let's get your bite on this, Ibrahim Momo, because Nigerians seem not to be too confidently sure about the promises made by the president on bringing it to fusion. What do you think?
Thank you very much. It's a lot to unpack. First, Nigerians have been growing, a lot of Nigerians, in a country where well over 100 million people are living in multi-dimensional poverty. The policies of fuel subsidy removal has amounted, and of course the liberalization of the exchange rate has amounted to increased economic challenges for the people. It is in that respect that people have argued, and in a way it does make sense, that some of these palliatives or panacea that this government is now proposing or steadily implementing, it ought to have front-loaded. If at the point of taking those drastic decisions, the government, side by side, was also implementing the policies. You're removing subsidy today, that same day, you are announcing the palliatives. So that the most vulnerable in society are not caught off guard, are not made to suffer more. You know, then I'm sure the kind of feedback this government has gotten, it will have gotten, because... So
you mean that adequate planning was not made?
No, obviously. In fact, in the broadcast, the thing you have to give to the president is that he's clear on his vision. He knows what he wants to do.
On what we have on paper.
No. You see, you don't implement public policies without first planning.
Okay.
And then, presenting it in a way that, because it is not a one-man implementation.
Okay, but when you say he's sure, he knows what he wants to do.
You can see from his speech.
Are you looking at, okay, just from the speech?
Yeah,
or
from his speech.
From actions taken so far?
He had a detailed set of policies that he wants to engender.
Have speeches ever taken us there?
No.
Because we are looking at policy actions, policy statements that, would drive the day in order to bring about a lot in terms of what Nigerians expect.
We do not expect
because like you said, no adequate planning was made in the direction of certain palliatives, hitting the ground.
I didn't say no
before removing petrol subsidy.
I didn't say no adequate planning was made. I'm saying that the palliatives should have come in tandem, in situ. It should come together with the policies of those reform policies of fuel subsidy removal and the liberalization of the exchange rates. I think if these policies of palliatives were coming, I didn't say they didn't have the plan or there was no proper planning. I'm saying that it was delayed planning. And when they did it that way, the program for palliatives or for resolving the challenges were delayed. And the time lag between May 29 and August 1, which is today, it's quite just about 62 days already.
Which seems to defeat the purpose.
Well,
because if it's been delayed and then the people are groaning over the economic hardship cost by the policies not taking place quickly in terms of tackling issues of cushioning the effect of the petrol subsidy removal, it then means that the purpose is being defeated, as it seems.
I think one of the things that explained for that delay was that, if you remember when he went to Port Harcourt to commission prayer, still as president-elect, not because when he became president, still as president-elect, Mr. Wike, who has now interestingly declared to be minister, was urging the then president-elect, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to please commit to refund some of the costs they have incurred in trying to fix infrastructure that belongs to the federal government. And he said there can only be one president at a time. That you don't expect him to implement or to make promises when he is not even the president. And there was a governor in Nigeria, a former governor, Abaka Audu, who was governor-elect, literally. There was just a few units for a rerun the following day. He was elected, there was voting on Saturday, he died Saturday night. So the fact that he was president-elect does not mean that he would have been president. Time was the only difference. There was a difference between president-elect and president, which was time. So he couldn't have made a promise. So I think that maybe that was what accounted for that delay in. You need to be president first.
Okay.
Before he starts implementing it.
Okay. Let's see if you have a different perspective to this, Fred Igwe.
It is very funny to say that a president-elect should not have vision or should not be able to make decisions because he's not even sure he's going to be a president. That is so lame. Come on, my brother. This man was elected on the 25th of February. And the announcement was made 5 days later. From that day on, if he knows what he's doing, he should have hit the ground running. Here we are, 4 months later, just now submitting the list of ministers. Even if he undertook, yes, even if he undertook the task of screening ministers personally, it could not have taken a week to do, but 4 months. So that is already sending very bad signals to us that this man is not going to be able to be effective, he's not going to be productive, he's not going to be able to take us to where we want to go.
That's your opinion?
Look,
when you say us, I don't get it. That's your opinion. And you are not representing Nigerians.
No, excuse me. I'm representing a large number of Nigerians who understand what administration is, whether a public or private. You see, a government exists. Every government in the world exists for the purpose of providing that enabling environment, of promoting the potential, of every entity, whether individual or corporate, to attain their potential. So if you cannot do that, then you do not exist.
Okay.
Then, excuse me, sir. Tinubu came into office. First day, he blundered. He made that policy statement. And we know what the repercussions have been. It has sent this nation into a tailspin economically. We are now going deeply into recession. You see, when you make statements that takes your economy or takes the society from one level a notch downwards, then you have already erred. You have already blundered.
Blundered by saying that petrol subsidy is gone?
Whatever
because
you do,
we've had discussions where
whatever you do,
the removal of petrol subsidy.
I do.
So where did he blunder?
I do. Because of the way he went about it.
How should he have gone about it?
Good. Like my good friend here has said, he ought to have put policies in place. I'm not even in support of palliatives. Because the palliatives is like, okay, you say remove subsidy with one hand. Then whatever you are saving, you say you are giving back to the people as palliatives. Well, how does that make any sense? In the case of subsidy, everybody benefited to the extent that they consumed fuel.
If you remember what he said vividly, looking at the challenge where some few, we are taking a huge chunk as a result of, exploiting the process.
We have since found out. We've had
discussions where you also said that it has been a scam.
Yes,
and that its removal is a welcome development.
Good. That's where I was coming to. Because it has come to the light now that NNPC was the only authorized entity importing fuel, and that there were no fuel marketers. And all that was scam. All that has come to light. And some have argued that when fuel was first 87 naira, and it jumped up from 87 naira to 143 naira, that was fuel subsidy remover.
Okay, but
why again are we saying we are removing fuel subsidy?
Can't you look at the brighter side because of the statement he made in the president?
Yes, when there's no bright side to it, why should I?
You are a business expert. He made mention of the manufacturing sector.
Good.
He made mention of the MSMEs.
Yes.
And about 75 enterprises, as what he said yesterday in the broadcast, will be assisted with at least ₦1 billion between now and March 2024, to kickstart the process of the manufacturing industry.
₦1 billion
each for the 75 enterprises. And then he also delved into the area of the MSMEs, where he said about 125 billion naira will also be given, as loans that will be paid in the spread of 36 months. He also went further to even talk about the 500,000 hectares of land, for agriculture. And where he also said about 150 hectares will be dedicated for maize and rice, and where billions of naira will also be given to farmers, to help them, the fertilizers and the seedlings. All of this, don't you see this as a huge start if these policies are implemented to the letter?
If these policies are implemented to the letter, what has been our experience as a nation? We have been deviled by corruption of no calculable proportions. So what we are saying is this. He has already come up with these policies. Okay? So we are looking at the implementation. But going back to the case of palliatives, we don't need to be awarding palliatives or giving palliatives to those, quote unquote, that we consider to be the most vulnerable in a society. That's not the way to go about it. And then we are talking about increasing salaries of civil servants. So what about civil servants represent less than 1%.
Okay.
1% of the population of Nigeria. Civil servants represent less than 1% of the population of Nigeria. So if you increase their salaries, what do you do to the 99%?
Okay, I'll come back to you.
Excuse me, sir. The way advanced countries do it, they have a standard minimum wage that is enforced throughout the entire economy, both the private and public sectors, so that everybody benefits. When you give civil servants only increases in salary or in salaries, what do we get? We have a boomerang. We have a domino effect. We have a ripple effect of inflation. That is what happens. So we should have a rethink of what we are. We thought that, okay, this man is an accountant. This man is very exposed. By now, you should have realized all of that.
Okay, let's look at
change the trajectory.
Depending on back to you, let's look at the brighter side again. And when it gets to you, I think you should react over this. And the president broadcast, he made mention of the fact that in just barely 2 months of the removal of the petrol subsidy, the country has saved over ₦1 trillion. What does that bring in terms of development to the country? Andrew.
Yes, thank you, Philip. I think the problem we have in this country is trust deficit. People are no longer, because of our long history, people are no longer trusting the leadership of this country. President Tinubu is an accountant. That's my also area. And from our training, one of the major problems of implementation is what we call limiting factors. That limiting factor in most cases is fund, cash. The moment Tinubu removes subsidy. He said, yes, go. Whatever service, I am going to use it. And he has told us for 1 month he has saved 1 trillion. Out of 1 trillion he has saved, even his address, he has only touched 400 billion. So funding is not going to be a problem.
Okay.
Whatever is in that address will be implemented immediately.
You made mention of trust.
Yes.
Trust deficit. Which is a transaction, you know, that Nigerians seem not to be at home with government.
But now
we've had past administrations that
they failed
with all of this promises. But at the end of the day, they couldn't really have it.
That is why I told you now that...
Now, what is the guarantee?
Yeah.
What is the yardstick that the people will hold this government to? That all of this money will be properly utilized? Because there is this fear again that when it gets to, when it's shared among the tiers of government, it could end up being diverted and misappropriated.
Yes. If you look at that address, he has said the financial institutions, the microfinance banks, will be the main driver. He's not going to just carry cash and give to you. Go through that address very well. Very well thought out, financially detailed enough. And the funding is already available. Out of 1 trillion, only 400 billion has been touched. If the 400 billion is distributed according to that address to financial institutions, the financial institutions, certainly you can't go to a bank and collect their money and go free. They will take care of that one. That trust deficit, and what I say, is lacking. And the man is so intelligent, he has even given us a very short period of time, 9 months. He said 9 months, just give me only 9 months, which I think every Nigerian should be able to do. He didn't say give me 4 years. He said from July to March.
From July to March.
I think, if I'm right, it's about 9 months. That is a short period, telling him that he knows what he's doing. The fund, what has been the challenge of what project phase is funding? Now the funds are there. If the funds, according to the report, channeled through the financial institutions, for example, 50,000 naira to be given to non-bank, these single, all these traders. You know, microfinance bank in Benin, he already have a data of almost all traders in Benin are using what we call this microfinance bank in Benin. Lapo. So the data are there.
Okay, but apart from that, let's also look at the palliatives.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let's also look at the lifestyle or the style of the president. Except you are telling me that has changed.
No,
he has been someone who knows how to carry the party cronies along and always find a way to reward cronies. Now, at what point can you say that competence will be brought to bear? Because again, we look at the ministerial list, you know, that a lot of people have been also criticizing, you know, because we expected that politicians will not be recycled. We expected that at least those who have what it takes, who know their onions, will be brought to the list. But again, some Nigerians were disappointed. So in all of this, what is the trust? What is the guarantee?
No, I think we are missing the point. These people you call politicians have been recycled. If they had not worked for the success of this party, they would have been nothing to share. They would have been nothing to share. So you cannot say they are recycled. There is nobody in that ministry that does not merit it. Is it former government?
We have past governors and criticisms are that what have they brought to the table in their states?
Yeah,
what have they done in terms of tackling the economy of their states?
Philip, we have always given too much attention to the federal government. And that's what I told you. Funding has been a challenge. I remember in this state, recently the state governor said they will not be able to pay salary from July because the country was in shambles financially. Now the country is saving money. We have just saved 1 trillion. People should trust that man. If I don't understand, maybe it appears most of us do not understand financial implications of what we are talking. Nigeria have been borrowing money. We were shouting that Buhari was borrowing. Here is a man, less than 60 days, he has saved 1 trillion.
Maybe Nigerians will be waiting to see, like you said, he gave himself less than a year template.
He said 9 months
for Nigerians to criticize his government.
A short period.
Now, maybe you should be looking at the modalities he's going to be using, because he also made mention of cushioning the effect of the petrol subsidy removal in terms of transportation.
Yes.
Where he said he'll be bringing about 3,000 units of buses,
yes,
you know, spread across the 704 local
Yeah.
government areas of the country.
Yeah.
Now, how will that be done quickly? Because if you look at every day, you know, as the day breaks, huge amounts of money, you know, that leaves the hands of the masses as a result of this economic hardship.
Yes.
Now, how is this palliatives, or how is this change going to come quickly?
Now, the president has said July to March, 9 months. He has never told you by tomorrow all the problem will be solved, because it takes time to bring these buses and to improve them. But I think 9 months is a very short period. And we are looking at the federal government. What about the states? What about the local government? Do you know how much allocation every state and the local government got this month? They have never had it so good. Just less than 60 days. I'm sure the governors should, in fact, I'm sure the governors should be surprised where this man got this money. And Nigeria too should be surprised how he got this money. If the states are doing what the federal government is doing, and the local government are doing whatever, because they are now having a enhanced allocation, everybody looking at the Tinubu. The state collected huge sum of money. The local government collected huge sum of money. If they implement the same transport system, I remember in this country, even as far as labor, you know what you call it, NLC, they had subsidized transport buses in Benin City. The office was at Dumes Road. People living in Benin knows. That was the period of Oyegu. And immediately the Oyegu saw it. Oyegu also brought his own buses. And they were called Oyegu buses. Those things reduce the problem of the masses. So, Tinubu is towing this line. If he says, I'm bringing 3,000 buses, the state should also bring about 50 buses or 60 buses. And local government should be able to have 5 or 10 buses to ameliorate the problem of the masses. If even ITV should have a star bus, if ITV have a star bus, I'm not sure Philip will be talking of increased fuel problem. In fact, when we were growing up, almost every organization in this country has star bus. In fact, we were not even paying, including the army, including the police. Now the government have...
Do you mean to say staff bus as donated by the government?
No, purchased by the organization. By the organization.
But a whole lot can be said in that regard.
You know, once the buses are there to ferry workers to and from job offices at specified time, the pains of the workers will be reduced. And when you have transport system, the pains of the common man, as I told you, NLC, Oshomole brought those buses to Edo when he was the secretary of Nigeria Labour Corridors. Years back, I can remember Dumes Road. That is where they had their I don't know what to call it, the bus, the terminal.
Okay.
Bus terminal. And even in Lagos, you have NLC bus. What stopped NLC from also helping their workers?
All right, we have this challenge where even the NLC could be warming up again. We don't know.
They have no reason to warm up.
We don't know what they will be looking at, because we believe that the president's broadcast could also
reduce
tackle these
yes.
issues of them coming again into the street as they planned tomorrow. Now, let's get your viewpoint about what the president said in the speech. Some persons were expecting that he's going to make an announcement of the new minimum wage.
Well, I didn't expect the president to announce a minimum wage, because it is a national minimum wage, not a presidential minimum wage. So the thing is that it's a tripartite arrangement, first of all. You have governments, the federal, states, and though we have the governors are killing the local governments, you can even say local governments, there's also the organized private sectors. You know, these are also, in fact, the Nigerian economy, which is an area we are underplaying. Part of the key, since NNPC has been failing us, it is the FIRS, through the collection of taxes, that have been funding Nigeria's economy. NNPC has not been remitting. So organized private sectors are now a very critical player in this negotiation. In fact, we are seeing that some banks, without mentioning names, have doubled the salary of their workers already.
Already?
Also, at least 2 banks have announced doubling of salaries of their workers. Organized private sectors are so important players in that negotiation. And of course, the workers themselves.
Okay, so what do you see as good enough for the new minimum wage?
No, you see, from my background, it may increase of salaries is an elixir for
inflation.
Inflation.
Oh.
May increase salaries. So what the worker need It's not merely an increase in salary. It is the amelioration of the challenges that they face.
It's not merely. It's not only.
Yes. No, of course.
Because you can't take that away that it must be increased.
No, it is one key factor to consider.
It's not only.
But it's not only. For example, if you move,
we look at incentives, we look at fringe benefits. I think you are talking on the grounds of fringe benefits.
Not just fringe. Major. You see, for example, if you fix the infrastructure, the worker does not have to repair his car every day. If you fix lights, he does not have to power a generator every day. If you even have, like I've been mentioned so far, the issue of buses, cheaper buses.
Good transportation system.
In the developed country like the UK, for example, people don't use their cars to office and back. They use public transport, they use the tram, the train.
Because the system is dependable.
That is the point. So if you fix, and then if you also engender an agricultural revolution such that there is increased productivity in the area of agriculture, food prices, it is not rocket science. Food prices will come down if there's enough food.
And tackle the roads from the farm produce to the market.
So
the president also said.
All these are components to the area of addressing the challenges of the citizens, particularly the workers. So I've heard, of course, that's the first point, that they should increase minimum wage from 30,000 naira to 200,000. If you do that, the price of bag of rice will leave 40,000 or 200,000 too. Because if minimum wage is 30,000 naira, and rice about 34,000, then you not carry 30,000 naira minimum wage to 200,000. Don't be expecting that the bag of rice at 34,000 will rate at 34,000. It won't. So it mainly fixing or reviewing that. So, for example, if you earn 200,000 now, and they're only on transportation and fueling a generator, you are spending 150,000. What have you gained? You have gained nothing. And people are spending as much as in a month. Now people are spending as much as 60,000 to fuel their cars, to fuel their generators in a month. Already effective now. So I think that it's not only about the minimum wage. With all due respect to I'm a civil servant too.
Okay. So in the overall, you are saying that the president has the blueprint, in terms of taking Nigeria to where they are going.
It has to be a negotiated arrangement, for the workers not to suffer.
Okay, but the president broadcast was a good development in the right direction.
I think for a very long time, one of the things we have not really enjoyed in this country is a visionary leadership. There are challenges, yes, but does the president have an idea of how to get us from where we are, the home we are now, to where we ought to be?
So that remains.
I think we are seeing a kind of clear a president with a vision now. But I can point out also, it's good to have a vision. It's good to have a program of activity, a plan of action. It is much, much more important. It is critical that we move away from just the theories of paper or the ideas of paper or proposals to actually carrying them out. And this president has a way of boxing himself to the corner. He's not giving himself a timeline.
Exactly.
So
exactly for Nigerians to look at the template of what you have said.
Talk. It's
already ticking.
We are waiting.
All right. Thank you. Well, let's get your bite over this and the direction that the president is going in terms of the over 1 trillion naira, that has been saved so far. Sharing this money along the 3 tiers of government. You were a one-time gubernatorial aspirant. Would you support that? That the president, that this money is shared among the 3 tiers, or is just given a direct project from the presidency?
When people say, like my good friend, Mr. Andrew, said that the federal government has saved over 1 trillion naira. Saved over 1 trillion.
That's what the president said.
Saved over 1 trillion.
That's what the president said yesterday.
That is what we are saying. That is what you say technically. We have been. It is only recently that we had an administration that told us that first promised that Boko Haram would be defeated in 6 months. Then, after about 1.5 years, they told us that Boko Haram had been defeated technically. And after 8 years, they left and said, well, government is a continuum, let the next government take control. Now we are hearing, in 9 months, this is what we will do. We are supposed to believe that. No, we cannot.
Okay.
Listen, excuse me, sir.
Don't forget the question I asked.
Excuse me, sir. I'm not
Do you support that amount to be shared among the 3 tiers?
Listen, before you talk about that amount, First, consider the implication. How would that amount came about? You have mopped up money from the ordinary citizens, and you are now calling it something that you have saved. You haven't saved anything. All those who are in recession, individually and corporately, they are in recession. How you now take the money, you say you want to pass it back to them through the state and local governments. Please, what we are concerned about are the things he didn't say.
Okay, how should it have been done? That's exactly where I'm going.
Yes.
How should it have been done? That will meet the purpose.
This government has been silent on corruption, on the challenge of corruption. And that is the biggest problem bedeviling this nation. Tell us how you want to tackle corruption, because the money that you can save more money from controlling, from corruption fights, or from controlling corruption, than what he says he's saving from subsidy. Talk about corruption. How do you plan to? But this is a man that we know that has lived his life based on being very corrupt. And
you can't say that. You can't say that. You can't say that. You can't say that because whatever you say, whatever you say,
excuse me, sir.
I think it's expedient you take away that.
Okay, I'll take that back. But let me say this: there are questionable. Facts about him.
Okay, let's allow that to settle. Let's allow that to settle.
About him.
I'll come back to you.
Excuse me, sir.
I'll come back to you.
No, let me finish.
This is not about the person of the president.
It's not about his person.
It's about the office.
Yes.
It's about what he has said that he's going to do. That's basically what I expect you to say.
Excuse me.
Not on his person.
I have told you that he has not made any statement concerning what he needs to do about what he wants to do about controlling corruption. That's one. We're hoping to hear that the refineries will be brought up back upstream.
But will it not be you asking too much? Because we've had discussions here. You may mention all of the fact that the manufacturing sector is key. Good. You know, if we must get it right. You may mention of the MSMEs.
Excuse me.
I've had discussions with you, and you said that we must go this way. We must get it right. And that's the direction the president is going.
Excuse me. We already have refineries built to operate, but they have become moribund because they have been neglected.
All right.
We have a steel mill or two steel mills, Alajan and Ajaokuta, and nobody is saying anything about them. Then you are now saying you want to face SMEs. First, go and fix those ones.
All right.
Once you have fixed those ones, come to SMEs.
Thank you. In case you're just watching, is TMI, and I've been discussing with distinguished personalities, Honorable Fred Uyigwe, and of course also with Comrade Andrew Igwemo and Ibrahim Momo. We've been discussing on the issues of the president's broadcast, a review of very, very viable statements he made in the direction of setting the country in the right pedestal. At this point, we're going to be looking at Edo State governorship race come 2024. Few months to where we're going to be having activities in this direction. We've already started seeing billboards, across local government areas, one aspirant aspiring for the office of the governor, #1 citizen of the state. And a whole lot needs to be said. And also we hear about what senatorial district should be producing the next governor. A lot needs to be said in terms of competence and also in the direction of how to get it right in terms of ensuring that we have credible election come 2024. I still have my guests with me, starting with you, Comrade Andrew Igwemo. What do you say? Because Edo State happens to be one of the states that have these off-cycle elections, and we are at it again. Just a few months, Edo State will be conducting the gubernatorial polls, of which you were once a gubernatorial candidate. Now, yes. What do you see as the coming event for Edo State in terms of getting the predecessor or the successor of the present governor of Edo State, Gordon Obaseki?
Yes, thank you, Philip. You use the word credible elections. But for me, I will try to say credible candidates Credible elections does not necessarily guarantee credible candidates. It is credible candidates that can turn situation around for us, that can make development, peace, and tranquility and growth of the state. Not credible election. Yes, credible election is very important. Because if you have the key players in a race, and none of them is credible, and you go through a credible election, you will produce a non-credible candidate. And the state will be where we are. Shortly, we spoke about national politics, which is Tinubu. But if you look at 2023 election, there were issues there. The issues were not really credible election. Issues were credible candidates. That is where you were here articulated. Because credible is a perception. It's in the minds of the beholder.
So you mean to say that credible candidates were not given an opportunity, you know?
They were. That's what I'm saying. In coming Edo State, we should be hammering more on credible candidates, not credible election. Because if a credible candidate did not emerge, we will see where we are. We will see where we are. Well, at least Nigeria is breathing now, even though we are going through a little bit harsh process.
Okay, but do you have that fear that even come Edo 2024, there may not be credible candidates? Or
I cannot say.
What do you see as the right platform, or no? How do we set it right ahead of the Edo 2024 in getting credible candidates?
Yeah, the issue is this: who is credible? As I said, it's a perception. It's a perception. That is why the issue of Obidie came up, because the Obidie believed that Obi was credible. That was their own perception. Whether it is right, it is wrong, that is a different ball game. Those people who were say they were articulated believed that Atiku was credible. In Edo State, now
and even when you came out under the platform,
yeah, when I came under the platform,
and even ACD, yeah, you thought that you were credible.
I am very credible. I'm very credible. But the people didn't look at me as credible because of the party there. The party is important. The party is 50%, and the credible candidate is 50%. What I'm saying is that if you conduct an election, it's just like a competition where you have a beauty queen. It is the people who come out, among them you will select the most beauty queen. The most beauty queen may not be the most beautiful girl in that environment. So the people the party throws up may not be the most credible. What we are saying is that the credible people should come on board. They should come on board. At the moment, I don't know who is credible. But if you ask me, I'll say, well, look, you see, you don't forget they don't say we now have what we call the obedient or LP. They are really not partisans. They don't believe in one party. Just that craziness of obedience. If you look at more people who are there now, if you ask me, I say, okay, who is credible? Very good question. I look around, I'm credible. But I think if you look at the former speaker of the state of assembly,
no.
He's a young man.
No. This is not a platform.
Yes, I agree. I know that's not. We're not politicians. The politics are not started.
But how do you see the aspect of billboards?
Yes,
having these aspirants. Do you think that is how to situate it? Because we expect that at least. Well, I think let me give you that question, Ibrahim Momo, because we expect that at least campaign has not been. The campaigns have not been lifted, you know, and we are seeing billboards having aspirants, you know, contesting for the office of the governor come 2024. Do you see that as the right thing to do?
I think it's wrong, very wrong. The fact that already there are so many of them who are already putting out their billboards, it's a very wrong thing to do. And the electoral process has an electoral calendar. The time for campaigning has not at all been lifted. Of course, so the idea of people now, even if they are testing the waters, I think it's wrong. And yeah, INEC is not able to enforce some of the rules. That is why we have the aberration of people already campaigning, literally, when it is not even time for, you know, for picking of forms or nomination to take place. For me, really, in an electoral process, like in the case of Edo 2024, we have to realize that there are different stakeholders in an electoral process.
Yeah.
People often pivot on the electoral umpire, the electoral management body, in Nigeria's case, INEC. Whereas INEC is not the critical stakeholder. The critical stakeholder is not even the politicians or the political parties. It's not even the pressure groups or the media. It is the electorate. Now, I think this is the time for the electorate to be clear, to define what exactly do they want in a candidate. Because people make the mistake. I think you made the point. We were hearing the last election, ratified, articulated, obedient. People make the mistake of pivoting on individuals. What we should be looking at is principles, ideas as to how, vision as to what do we want in our leader, what does Edo want? What do we want as people?
But if you look at these principles you just said, it will also take you to
a person.
No,
exactly.
No,
so what are you saying?
Don't put the cart. There's a cart and there's a horse.
Oh.
Don't put the cart before the horse. Don't personalize him, okay, whatever I say is right. No. You look at, this is what we want. Do we want public sector driven economy or private sector driven economy? Do we want education to be subsidized, to be as it is now, or want that it should be only those who can afford it go, the others can take a loan.
And maybe we are looking for this time to have youths. Oh, we come up.
I get the point now. So,
we are tired, as some will say, that
you know the funny
we are
thing,
tired of recycling old politicians.
You know the funny thing, one will say youth. A youth is between the ages of 16 and 25. In Nigeria, we have had a political party, a ruling party at that time, who had the national youth leader who was 65 years old. So who is a youth really? We need to. That's a question. That's a debate. You know, we really need to find out.
And does the youth have the wherewithal? Does the youth have the wherewithal? You know, to muzzle the campaigns? Because you're looking at the gubernatorial race, for instance. It's all about how much you've got.
In fact, my uncle,
even starting with the forms that is being
my uncle
sold.
was telling me. I don't want to mention his name because it's a public official. He was telling me that some time ago he contested for chairman of a local government, of my local government, where I come from, and. You know, this is somebody who has been a philanthropist all his life. I think he has worked for the people. His money has been for the people. But on the election, they said that he could use the local government chairman office to do more than what he can do as an individual. You know what happened? All the people he has lived his life for, because of 5,000, 3,000, he did not even remember 20 years of service. The man didn't believe in monetizing votes. He didn't get to become chairman. So people, that's the first thing. People don't actually know what they want. Is it the 5,000 naira on election day that you want? Is it the individual? Is it somebody you like or somebody from your place that you want? Because you have seen the argument around it is the turn of those central. Okay.
Exactly.
So you are seeing all this. What do we want?
Okay. I think let's take it from that point because a lot has been said. Which senatorial district, we produce the next governor? At least we've had that coming from Edo South. Now we should go to Edo Central. Before it came to Edo South, we had Edo North. If we talk about competence, and he made mention of credibility, looking at credible candidates, should it be all about the senatorial district?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
It should be. Because of the lopsided information equation that the South enjoys. If we were to go by just contesting elections based on population, then it would be difficult for people from Edo North and Central to produce governors. And so we cannot exclude them. That is why.
Are you sacrificing competence?
No. We are not sacrificing competence.
There are competent people everywhere.
Well, we have a lot of competent people across the state and across the nation. That's why I kind of disagree with my good friend, Mr. Iguemo, who said that we need credible candidates. What are we talking about, credible? Well,
you disagree with him that we need credible candidates?
Excuse me, sir. What are you talking about, credible candidate? Credible, you mean integrity-wise? Okay. That's for credibility. Then you have to talk about competence. That has nothing to do with credibility. Then you have to do with vision, being visionary. That has nothing to do with credibility. What do we want? We want somebody who is competent.
Who is competent?
Yes, who is competent.
Not necessarily credible.
Well, he has also to be credible. No, excuse me. No.
Because you can't take that away.
No, excuse me.
Because that's where we have credibility.
He doesn't only have to be credible.
Okay.
He doesn't, but he has to be very competent.
Okay.
Okay? And that competence comes about by being able to harness the resources, being able to get the necessary manpower, the necessary assistance to help him achieve his vision for the state. Governor Obaseki has done extremely well by my opinion and by my calculation. Perhaps the best since Samuel Ogbemudia. So the next person coming in must be able to build on what he has already accomplished.
A lot is expected.
He has to be able to build on it.
A lot is expected.
One thing Obaseki said one time, and I remember that, is that he is not only going to contribute and develop the state to compete with a Lagos state, but to surpass Lagos state. But we know that that was a tall order for him. But he has set the state. Now you can take a look at the secretariat complex and say, well, now you have a working environment that the state can be proud of. But that not said. There's even a whole lot that Obaseki could have done that he didn't do. So we are looking for somebody.
That's where they say government is a continuum.
Yes. No, that he could have done. I'm not saying he could have done, but he didn't do. That's why we are looking for candidates who will come back and see those areas where
there are gaps.
There are gaps, yes. That's what I would like to use. I would not want to say failed. Those areas where there are gaps. And make sure that you bring those ones up to speed. And also build on the legacy that the man is leaving. And then try to see what the potential of the state is. We have over 17,000 square miles of land area with, 17,000 square kilometers of land area. And then agriculturally, I don't think we are pulling our weight like we ought to. Now, Edo State by itself, by the land area we have, and by the fertility of our soil, can be the food basket for the entire nation.
Okay.
So there's a lot we can do.
Okay.
But what I want to conclude with, to go back to your question, is that Edo North has already produced a governor. Edo South has produced the governors twice. Edo Central is left out. Are we telling ourselves that nobody from Edo Central can ever become a governor until he is able to convince everybody that he is the most credible and the most competent?
I think that's exactly what the parties are really moving on towards.
To make our governance inclusive, we should defer, even if it is to our hurt, marginally. We should defer to Edo Central. Let this time around, let an Edo Central, let a man emerge as governor.
Okay, do you also believe in that? Because yes. Some have said that there should be a paradigm shift in this direction. And again, don't also forget, we can't but talk about the ruling party and where the governor came from. He was formerly of the All Progressives Congress. And of course, looking at the former governor of the state in Adams Oshomole, that is now a senator. Now, there seems to be this challenge, that, well, it's like it's between whatever we come up in terms of being the next governor will be coming from these factors of personalities. Yes. What do you make of that? And yes. Do you also believe in the paradigm shift as regards moving to Edo Central? I
think my friend, or your question is emotional politics, you're asking. Politics of entitlement. I think we should go beyond that. It is my turn. Emiloko. We should not go there. That's
we should
why
not go there.
We should not go there.
In terms of the senatorial...
in terms of governorship,
but again, when you were making mention of a particular candidate, one time, from Edo Central. Which means you already right there.
No, it was not an entitlement. I was talking of credibility. Okay. That was why I mentioned Noble, the former speaker.
No.
I was talking of... Yes, okay. I was talking of...
You seem to suggest
not entitlement.
That it has to come from the...
No, that is not the issue I was. Okay. You see, I was talking of credibility. Who can move on?
So even if we get it from Edo
anywhere,
South, from Edo North?
From Edo North, from Edo South, it's okay.
But the party is in question.
No, the issue is this.
Because we've seen defections, of a politician from one party to the other. Because they are saying it that probably they may not be able to get a ticket.
Philip,
to run in that particular party.
What you have not understood politically. I'm still on my... What you have not understood politically is that there's never a time in the state where one side has only contested election. Like say, all candidates are Edo South. All candidates are Edo North. All the three central DC has always been participating in every election. And it's going to be very difficult to tell South, North. As we speak now, APC alone have over 14 candidates spread across... Aspirants. 14 aspirants spread around. Even PDP has a host of all the plus. So that even Labour Party have over... The last card is about 8 or so. All from different political, senatorial zones.
So we should be looking at having a level playing ground for the aspirants.
Exactly. That is why I told you just now that. Can it be?
Yes.
So you is it? Forget about who I measure where from.
No.
That is not the issue.
That is not even what we
that is a entitlement. You see, we are too emotional.
Okay.
We should not be emotional.
Okay. Your final words on this as we bring this show to a round off.
Yeah.
Your final words on what you said.
My final words are Edo 2024.
No, yes, of course.
Yes, it's going to be a very interesting feat with the advent of LP.
No.
I'm rounding up.
Okay, I take that as your final words. Please, let's take your final words on this.
I think there is a delicate balancing that needs to be made. Nigeria and those states needs to be clear what they want. For some, it's a matter of can we have continuity and sustainability? In fact, can we have a voice movement, kind of Edo voice movement for something that would say, okay, this is, we want to sustain the legacies, we want to continue on the trajectory that we are in.
Yeah.
It's something that our people need to be clear on. What do we want? And then, added to that, that's why I said there's a delicate balancing. Where should it come from? The idea of, if you look at the current way things are configured in the States, I think it's generally tilting, with all due respect. I am not somebody who is pro-primordial sentiments. I don't play to primordial sentiments. But if you look at the way the state is structured now, critical stakeholders, if you look at the governor, it's from Edo South, the deputy governor is from Edo North, the speaker, number 3 position, is from Edo North. Aboraku is from Onwa, it's Edo North. And then you now look at the ministerial nominee, the ministerial designate now, because he has been screened. Awakamomo, it's from Edo North. So you're having Edo North, Edo South, having the key, even the Secretary of the State Government, Farojo Oge, very great guy.
Okay, so leaving out Edo Central.
Edo Central is almost as if it's the other. So I think the parties are somehow coming together to agree that,
okay.
I'm not
to close the gap in that direction.
So that delicate balancing is something that we must really think about too.
Thank you. Well, your final words, I'll come back to you, but please ensure you don't mention enough names. This is not a platform to campaign or to talk about any place. I'll come back to you.
Yes.
Just brood over that while you have your last comments on this segment.
Switzerland has been in existence. I mean, they've had their independence well over 100 years. But up to today, they rotate their presidency. For 4 zones.
Conventionally or by constitutional provision?
By constitutional provision.
Okay. Which we don't have. Which we
don't have. But when you don't have it, when you have already recognized that this works for the sake of harmony, peace, and inclusiveness, then you adopt it. That is what we are saying we should adopt for the sake of inclusiveness and harmony. We should not sacrifice inclusiveness and harmony for other benefits, because they trump other benefits. Okay. They are more important. We want that mutual respect, that mutual acceptance from all the three senatorial districts. Okay. So for that is what we need, and so it behooves every one of us to say, okay, we have had a bite of the cake as it is. That's from the South a couple of times, and the North has done the same thing. So let's see what Edo Central can bring to the table. Thank you. And then we will have to support them. Thank you. Thank you. If we have, excuse me, let me just say, if we have these institutions that are credible, if we have credible and dynamic institutions, then we don't have to worry who is there. All right, thank you. Because the institutions will control them. You've articulated a point. 30 seconds to you, Comrade Andrew.
Yes, I want to repeat that the politics of emotion and politics of entitlement, we should disregard it. Okay. Wherever and whoever comes, the people, it is the people that determines who becomes the governor. Of course, yes. It does not matter that even if PDP chooses Ishan, the people may decide not to. And we have seen, even if PC chooses Ishan, the people may decide not to. So at the bottom, and the last thing is the people, the perception. That is why I started. How do the people, the voters, look at them, look at the candidates? So it's not entitlement. It's my turn. It's my turn. No. No. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Big thanks, Ibrahim Momo, and of course, big thanks, Honorable Freddy.
Thank you very much.
Where a lot has been said across the national and of course at the state level. We see how that pans out. And it's a new month, and we can only say Happy New Month, and we hope that you have a beautiful day ahead of you. My name is Philip Omo-Gyukpo. We'll do this on the next one. Shortly coming up is Business Rendezvous with Lawrence. Happy viewing.